Morning. All right, guys. Hi, my name is Matthew Van Horn. I run a company called 3 Mile Domination Self-Storage Services, and today we're going to talk about collecting and processing data, which is becoming really just more and more important for what we do on a daily basis. So I'm going to start with a few questions. How many of you are developing a property right now? Yep. All right. How many of you are looking to acquire? I imagine everybody if it's a good deal. Okay. And then how many of you are investing? This is your first time. You're either investing in your first property, developing, acquiring. Okay. All right, good. So one more question and we'll start moving along. How many of you are one facility owners? Just have one? Okay. And then 2 to 5? Yep. And then more than 5? 10 or more? Yeah. Okay, you guys with 5 and plus more. This data collection thing, it gets a little more crazy when you try to do it manual, but we'll talk about that. And then, then we talk about how do you collect your data. And there are reasons for all of this, but is it by hand? Are you guys using some technology? Is some of it fully automated? I've gone to fully automated. And then how do you process that data? How do you collate it? How do you review it? Who's doing it? When are they doing it? Are they doing it on a Friday night after they've worked all week and they're exhausted and they're really not looking at it? All right, let's do a little bit of history right now. When I started in the industry, I started in 2000. I started as a facility manager. A year later, I was a district manager, and then I've done everything from ownership, development, consulting, own my own firm, everything from there on out. But the point is when I say I got in at 2000, it used to sound like that wasn't that long ago. Now it's almost 2 decades. But when I first started, I would take over, say, a third-party management contract. I could easily come across a property with 75%. Those of you who have been in the industry, maybe say less than 5 years, that's foreign to you. Absolutely. And then so we would work really hard, get it up 5%, then work really hard and get it up another 5%. Maybe we hit 85, and everybody threw a party. Everybody thought that was great. Now that's a down year, or so it seems. So if we go back to, say, 03, 04, 05, 06, right in that area, give me some leeway on some of the years, that was our last major development cycle. That was the last major square footage we've had delivered to all of our markets until now. We hit the financial crisis. That shut off, not to mention it ravaged our customers. I always hear that storage is good in recessions and it's good in strong economies. But I can tell you one thing I found in the financial crisis, what we didn't do well in, was inflation. When gas prices hit $5 a gallon and I had people come into my property and say, Matt, look, we love storing here, but I can either pay you, put food on the table, or put gas in my car. So we had to deal with that as we went through the mid-2000s. Then we got into 2008, 9, 10, 11. We were still dealing with the financial crisis. The economy wasn't great. And then this acquisition cycle we have started. Money you were able to get for acquisitions, but you still couldn't get money or a lot of money for development. I was a former president of the Florida Self-Storage Association. We brought somebody down from the Fed to speak to our guys at our show that we ran. And the guy asked me, he said, from the Fed said, well, what's your biggest problem right now? I said, well, and this is going back to like 2010, 11. I said, well, my biggest problem is I have a better chance of walking outside and finding a live dinosaur than I do a construction loan. And he looked at me and said, it's going to be that way for a few years. And that's what happened. So a lot of what we're experiencing, for those of you who haven't been in the industry for a number of years, this 90% thing, we'll see if it lasts. I know some of it going below 90% is foreign to you, but part of it's demographics. We built all this storage in the early 2000s. We didn't build anything pretty much until now. The demographics of your markets changed. The population of the U.S. increased, I think it was about 16%. So all that square footage that we overbuilt back in the 2000s is all full now. Everybody's 90%. But now you've got more competition coming in, and we're going to talk about that right now. So where are we going? This is an infographic from a company called Union Real-Time. They run a software called Radius, which gives storage demographics, pricing, things like that. But if you look at this, look at there's 2 things I want you to look at the bottom right-hand corner there. One is the construction data, which shows the growth of self-storage construction in, say, from 5 to 17. Look at that big spike. And then in 2016, we delivered about 359 properties. 2017, almost 800. And there's more coming. So these are the things, when we start talking about data collection, getting back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals of marketing, sales training, hiring, getting your financials in order so you can actually track all of this stuff. That's what we're talking about. Because it's easy, you could easily, I had a customer or a potential client call me this morning. They had read my book or something, it was one of the areas, and they called me and they said, Matt, we want a strategy session. I talked to them this morning, and they have 3 new competitors coming in a 3-mile radius that came in within the last year. That is a lot for any market to take in. So, if we don't watch it, where are we going to end up? So we're going to have an increase in competition in most markets. We're going to have a decrease in occupancy and demand, potentially less rate flexibility, and then most likely an increase in expenses, because those of you who cut your marketing budgets during the good times are going to have to reinstitute that. It's getting harder to hire people, good people. Payroll's been going up. And I'm sure all of you track property taxes. That's a fun one. That's been going up regularly. So, what can we do to stave off the piranhas? It's not Chicken Little. We don't have to freak out or anything, but we do have to make some changes. But it's not going to be this. This is an infographic that was put up by a journalist in Forbes, or he does work for Forbes, basically comparing mom and pops, which is most of us, to the REITs. And in this case, it was Extra Space, but put whatever REIT name you want there. And basically, the markets look at us like we don't know what we're doing, in a sense. So when we look at customer acquisition, it says right here how small operators do it. It's a phone book, okay? Nobody, I'm sure, in here uses the phone book anymore, unless you can show me a positive ROI that you're getting from it. And then we look and see how the REITs do it, search engines, local, things like that, pricing, a calculator, algorithm revenue management. If you guys have management software, your softwares can handle this. Decision making, gut feeling, which is part of what we're talking about today, analytics, data, and clarification. So what we want to focus on is 5 pillars so we can get to systematic management and data collection. We're going to start with a financial analysis, how to get the financials straight at your property so you can start tracking some of these things, so we can work on the ROI of our marketing campaigns, so we can work on how the sales are affecting. Market research, what is going on in your market? How many properties are there? What is your market? Hiring system, how can we get through all the static and hire good people without having to go through 3,000 resumes? Have a marketing plan, not an advertising plan, a strong marketing plan that you'll implement and that you will track. And then finally, we'll talk about the sales process, how to get from marketing to sales. Because again, if you're spending money on marketing and you're not tracking it and you have leads coming in, but they're not being closed by the people on site, you might as well just throw that money in a furnace, because that's pretty much what you're doing. So, why do we collect the data? We collect the data so we can make changes from what we consider correlation, or what we think might be happening, to causation. So correlation, basically a statistical technique that can show whether and how strongly pairs of variables are related. In other words, it's a hypothesis. You guys remember when you guys did your science fair projects in school? The hypothesis, and then causation, a relationship that describes and analyzes cause and effect. And we need to understand the difference in this. Not what we feel, what the data is telling us. So these are just a couple little things for those of you in the back. I'll talk out loud here and describe them, but these are correlations. There's a guy that does these correlations that are hilarious. This one is per capita cheese consumption versus the number of people who died becoming tangled in their bed sheets. It's almost 1-to-1. You know, people who drowned after falling out of a fishing boat versus the marriage rate in Kentucky. Okay, it sounds funny, but a lot of times when we're looking at our facilities, we do the same thing. I've worked for companies where if the property wasn't performing, the only answer was it's got to be the manager, get rid of them. And we know we know a lot of times that's not the case. So we want to get in to the financials first, get our finances straight, get our chart of accounts ready so we can track exactly what we're spending on some of these campaigns we're doing, exactly what we're doing when it comes to payroll and everything else to make sure we can track it. So the first few slides here are going to be a lot of bullet points. I know how much you guys love bullet points when it comes to PowerPoint. But you can download these from ISS, so I put them in a checklist form. So you guys can look at them later and make check marks if you want. What information do I need? So when we're talking about putting together your financials, what is it that you need? Accurate and timely financials, P&L, balance sheet. You're going to need a rent roll. You're going to need a unit mix, find out what's renting, what you have available. Your marketing report, what data's coming in there. Your move-in, move-out reports, management summary. Data on individual managers, which is where we have some issues in terms of our software where it doesn't necessarily drill down all the way to what each individual's doing. And I'm going to go into why that's important. Your sales data, how are you selling in merchandise, insurance, fees? Are you doing any of this? And your budgets and/or projections. So the tools to get what you need. You need your self-storage management software. I would suggest even if you are a single operator, even if you are small, put in a self-storage management software. Stop managing your property out of QuickBooks. They are not that expensive anymore. There's a number of good companies in the expo over there. Go and get one. It will make your life, or whomever is doing this for you, their life much easier and a happier person. Accounting software, QuickBooks, Peachtree, whatever it is that you're using. Consistent chart of accounts. So you can track if you're spending money on your web spend, that it goes on a chart of account under marketing that says web spend. So you know what it is that you're spending, not one line item that says marketing that you can't break it down. You want online access to your operating account? A spreadsheet program will help. Excel, Google, whichever it is that you have. Efficient method of distributing the reports to the people who need them, who are decision makers. If for those of you who have 10, 20, 30 properties, then you have regionals or area managers, whatever geographical term that you want to use that are under you, make sure they're getting these so they can make decisions on the site level. And then revenue management system. I think we've probably hammered that one to death over the last couple of years. I imagine everybody knows what that is and has it installed. If you don't, come and speak with me. Your softwares will do it automatically. So the goals. So we want to provide accurate revenue data, accurate expense data. We want to provide a system for daily financial updates so people who are making decisions know what's going on. We want to provide a system for efficient processing of invoices, so it's going in the month that it's supposed to go in, so you can measure it. Implement daily deposits. That's an important one. Have your managers depositing money as quickly as possible. You don't want it sitting on in the office. Allow the implementation of revenue management systems, and decrease the possibility of embezzlement. So that's what the goals are for that. I know that's exciting stuff, but we're going to get to some better stuff. So, verifying your market. Now that we've got our financials straight, we know what our budget is, we've got our P&L, our chart of accounts, everything's going in the right direction. Now we need to know about what's in our market. Oh. Okay. Got it. Okay, how many of you guys are doing regular market studies? Okay, I want to see more hands than that. Okay. That's really nowadays, that's something you need to be doing. Are you guys, how many of you are tracking what properties are coming into your market or visiting your building department or using software? Good, because that's going to be important. All of these are important. So when you're looking at what is your market, is it 1, 3, or 5 miles? Most of you are probably in 3-mile radiuses. That's most suburban markets. If you're in downtown Manhattan, it's blocks. If you do RV and boat storage, it'll go out further. Who are your competitors? Check their websites. What do they offer? What amenities do they offer? Do they have box, locks, truck rentals? What security features do they have? Do they have fencing, video cameras? Are they fortress style? Do they have on-site managers? I know we still, in many properties, we still have on-site managers. I like it. It's technically not really a security feature, but people take it that way. Is it easily accessible? Do you have multiple gates? I managed a property one time in Florida that had multiple gates. It was great. We came off a busy road. They would come in, and they could leave in off the other side gate onto a slower road. Now, if you've ever seen someone drive a 26-foot U-Haul for the first time, you will understand how that's an amenity. So, access and office hours. That's becoming more important. I just read the 2017 SSA demand study, and 300 pages of nothing but statistics. But one of the interesting things about that was that having access, the access hours leapfrogged actually location in some markets. It was very interesting that way. What kind of pricing do they offer? Specials, discounts, fees, late fees, admin fees, your required insurance. You guys should be doing all of that. And what is their occupancy? Now, that's not the easiest thing to do. You can't walk into a competitor and say, what's your occupancy? There's only two people who ask that question. People who want to build more storage and appraisers. You walk into my property, my managers are trained to tell you 50% because we don't want you building. So the best thing to do is when I go and do feasibility studies, I walk into an office, and those of you who are managers, I love you very much for leaving out your vacant units list on your desk because I know most of the softwares and I read it upside down. Or if you don't have it there and you walk out of the room, I'll read it off your computer. Crazy as that sounds, but the screens are right there. Now, if I still can't get it, I'll take you on the property and you'll drive me around, show me some units, and I'll say, wow, this is a big property. You manage it all by yourself? I sure do. It's 500 units and we have 450 of them full. It's amazing what you can do when you just go and visit. So, tools to identify your market. How are we going to find these properties? A self-storage competition software. If you come to me afterwards, I'll tell you what those are, but they're both over there that I know of. They're over there in the expo hall. A mapping software. Google Earth Pro is the best if you're just doing it on a desktop, because Google Earth Pro will allow you to use a radius feature, which regular Google Earth does not have. And then you can just drop your competitors in there, map it out, see what your radius is. Notebook spreadsheet program when you're going to visit. Time on the ground. A lot of you don't bother going to ever visit your competitors. You want to. You want to know what the weaknesses are. And then demographics, get a general idea of what your demographics are in the area. So then again, it's time for a field trip. This is Google Earth Pro right there. It's what I use for feasibilities and for all of my properties. And very simply, you can search, drop in whatever you want, and then I usually use a little green pin for whatever my property is, and then look at what's in there. And then as you're going around, you're going to find properties that are 10,000 square feet, nobody's there, may not be what you could consider a competitor, mark them off. But then go so you know what you have so you can compete against that. Because what we want to do is identify your USP. When you're talking to people, when these markets get more competitive and people call you, and you need to find out what it is that makes you different. Why does somebody want to come to you than a public storage that might be a mile closer to them? Why do they want to come to you? So your USP is nothing but your unique selling proposition. It's what makes you different than your competitor. That's why you want to go and physically visit. So your types of USP. Are you located in a unique area? Or are you close to the new Walmart, the new school, the new movie theater, whatever it is in your market? Do you have, is it extended office or gate hours? Again, that seems to be becoming more important. Multiple gates, we talked about that. Security features, gate, coded access, cameras, on-site managers, door alarms, all the fun stuff. After hours help, kiosks. That's becoming more and more common now, especially for those of you who want to build smaller properties and maybe can't afford some of the payroll costs. The kiosks are becoming very important, more than they have ever. Let's see here, rental trucks, facility truck. Are you offering U-Haul in the market? Do you have your own truck that you give out for people? The quality of your managers or facility makes a difference. Price, I have that highlighted in red. I hate competing on price. If you can convince somebody in a sales process on every other good reason, you can be the highest in your market. Very easily, actually. It's not hard. It's just, you can't be 100% higher than everybody else, but you can easily be higher. And I'm going to tell you why I hate price as a competitive advantage. So we need advantages that are disconnected from price. I quote this study all the time. I can blame Terry Lanza out there. She originally put it up and I stole it. But according to a 2013 Stanford University study, 17% of customers will choose the highest price for any service. They think there is value in price, whether they're right or not. They believe it. 13% of customers will choose the lowest price for any service. And then 70% of customers will choose a service based on something other than price. Now, I know this to be true because when I was even looking at some of the statistics, at my own properties, but even when I look at it at the demand study, price, when they listed the most important features, was like number 6 on the list. Now, that doesn't mean you can be outrageously high, and there may be some of you that are in economically challenged areas where price might be a bigger issue than it is in some other markets. But for the most part, it's not. So, for your goals, for your market analysis, we want to provide an accurate understanding of your market. We want to provide an accurate representation of your competition, identify any underlying trends of your market, provide market pricing data, develop your USP, which is what makes you different so you can market it, and identify strong facility managers in your market because in case you need another manager or your building, you can go steal them. I hate to say it, but you could take, we're going to talk about this, but a lot of times you can take a manager from another property that's great for $1 more an hour. It's really amazing, but we're going to talk about how to try to keep that from happening. So, now that we've gone through the financial and we've gone through the market part of it, which was the most boring part of this entire presentation. Now we're going to get into systematic hiring. This is where you can make some changes in the way that you work this to help you move through all of the resumes you get. I mean, it's easily when I put an advertisement out there in any market, I could get, or it used to be, I'm sure it's truncated now, but I used to be able to get 60 or 70 resumes for any position. It was crazy. And then I would sit there and have to go through all 70 of them, find the ones that I think would work the best, call them, and get down to it, and then it would be great when you hired that one person and they never showed up. But that's what has happened in the industry. There are a lot of choices for managers and jobs, and we want to make sure that we're getting the best person. And we're going to talk about what comprises that best person. But so, for example, for the hiring system, just an employment advertisement, make up one that's interesting that people will apply to. 2 email addresses is how I do it. And I'll show you how to do that. Job posting website, Indeed, Craigslist. Facebook is now getting into this. Google's getting into this. And then a mailbox, as crazy as that sounds. So what am I looking for when it comes to a manager? Now, there's a lot of different opinions on this. I look for somebody with a great personality because I can't train that. If you're nasty to people or you are an automaton, a robot walking around, I can't train you out of that. That's really hard. But if you have a great personality, I can teach you how to run a management software. I can teach you how to run the gate system. I can teach you how to show a unit and lock a unit and read your management reports, things like that. So I'm looking at it. It really is just a recipe. I'm looking for somebody that I think if they have a good personality, they'll be a good marketer. Good personality will tend to make a very good salesperson if you train them the right way. Maintenance, some little knowledge would be great. Technology, unfortunately, guys, that's becoming, there's nothing we can do about that. Everybody needs to know how to run a computer now. I'm sorry. It used to be we could get around that a little bit, but now it's getting more difficult. Customer service, I want one-cup bulldog because I want somebody to protect it, not give away the farm. And then just some empathy to mix in there. Being a self-storage manager is one of the hardest jobs there is. And I know, and almost for some of you who are owners and investors and things, that may go against what you're thinking because your jobs are hard too. But a self-storage manager is like being a bartender without alcohol. That's the best way to describe it because you guys hear everything. You hear everything in regards to who bought a house, who got married, who got a new job, who lost their job, who lost their home, everything. And then you hear about the people who come in there and talk about their idiot son-in-law and everything else. You hear everything. So you want somebody that can handle all these different things, and it's hard to find. So we want to stop wasting our time in looking for our needles in the haystack. So to implement a hiring system, I'm going to go through how I've done it. You guys can manipulate it any way you want to. But basically, mine starts out with first, there's an advertisement placed on one of the services I told you, Indeed, Craigslist. Again, Facebook is getting into this. And then the customer will go to that, they'll find the advertisement, there's a link online, and they will apply. And then once they apply, there's an auto email that goes out. Now, if you're doing, you can set it up to where it will go to 2 email addresses. I have an email marketing system that makes this easier, but it will go back, and then you get something that says something like this. It says, Matthew, thank you very much for your interest in this manager position at this exciting self-storage facility. Please click here for the next step in the application process. Now, that will go to a landing page, and it says something to the effect of, why do you think you're the best person for this job? Now, somebody will fill that out and they'll send it back if they read their email or if they're not applying to every job on Craigslist. How many times have you gone through and picked up a resume, called someone to hire them, and all of a sudden they don't even know who you are because they're sending resumes to everyone? This helps you cut through that. This is the first step of getting through that and getting people who really do. So if you have 60 that come in, they all get this email back, 15 of them are going to fill it out. I guarantee it. So that's going to cut your workload right away. Then we're going to have the auto response email that's going to go out, and I'm going to ask them to mail me a letter. As old school analytical as it gets, mail me a letter. And it's going to say, Matthew, of course I put it in there, it says you made it. Thank you for your response to why you believe you're the best person for this position. Not many people have followed through with my request, so you're already standing out from the rest of the applicants, excuse me. Now there's one final step. You're almost done, but it's the one that will be worth it. Would you please mail me a letter to what you're looking for in a company and a supervisor? Now, the question's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you put there. We want to see if they'll actually do it. And then when you get a letter in your box, you will probably get 5 of them, maybe. So you've cut your potential pool from 6 down to 7 to 5 of them. Then you interview them, find out which ones you like the best. That's the person you want to hire. And then we go to the interview process. And with interviews, slow it down. There's a saying, and I'm sure most of you have heard it: hire slow, fire fast. If there's somebody that is not working within your culture, they're not doing their job, and I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a regional. I don't care if it's a manager. If they're not doing it, get rid of them quickly, because that cancer will spread, especially if you have other employees. When you're hiring, I like to have people, more than one if I can, interview someone. I do a phone interview and an in-person interview if I can. And then I also have other people interview along the way to help that process, to get different feedback from different people. So the goals in your hiring system are to decrease the avalanche of applicants, identify your needles in the haystack, create an efficient flow of new candidates, because you're going to need more than one. Especially those of you who run single properties or do properties, and you have that manager, quasi-accountant, quasi-regional manager that handles everything for you, and also all of your training and does everything through tribal knowledge. And when that person says, I don't think I want to work here anymore, and you beg them to stay because you don't know what's going to happen if they leave, you got to help get rid of that problem. Spend more time reviewing good candidates, decrease your turnover, and stop wasting your time. You'll decrease your turnover because you're finding better people that want the job and that aren't necessarily willing to leave for 50 cents more an hour. So we've gone through this. Now we're getting to marketing. Now we're going to start getting into some more of the data. So the tools for your marketing. You're going to need analytic reports. For those of you who have website companies, just call them and ask them for them. They should be able to give you those no problem. We're going to need tracking numbers. If you don't have tracking numbers, especially on certain projects like direct mail, if you're doing direct mail campaigns, any print marketing, tracking numbers are very helpful to find out who's calling, and so you can at least track what's coming in on those. Forms, cloud-based or hard copy, and I'm going to show you why for that. Email marketing management and text message management, we're going to discuss those two. Those are becoming more important. Text messages especially. Those are great, guys. If you're not using a text message program, I can tell you, people respond to those and they get to those fast, and I'm going to show you the statistics on that. Customer relationship management software, CRM. When I say CRM, I'm talking software kind of like Salesforce as an example. Some of your management softwares, the CRM features are getting better. You can rely on those if you have to, or you want to. Spreadsheet program, Excel or Google Docs. Note cards. Hey, if you want to track things on note cards, you're a single owner, you don't want to put in the technology or spend the money, you've got 15,000 square feet, you can do it manually. Just get a little box, put it 1 through 31, and get people who, when they call, put it on the note card there and move it around when you're doing it, if you'd like. And then no Post-it notes. Guys, no. Stop with the Post-it notes. Those things are terrible. So, 9 rules of successful marketing. I used to have 8. I added 1 this year. 1, there will always be offer or offers. When you're putting your marketing out there, there is going to be an offer on it. Nobody cares that you're the property in Texas. What are you offering? Is it first month free, first month half off, dollar move-in, whatever it is that you want to offer? And even when you're relatively full, you want to keep that marketing process going. You can adjust it, but keep it going. There will be a reason to respond right now. This offer expires April 15th, whatever it is. There will be clear instructions on what they are supposed to do. Are they supposed to call you? Are they supposed to bring the postcard in? Are they supposed to bring the flyer in? There will be tracking and measurement. We're going to go through that in just a moment, but you need to track everything that's going on and be ruthless when it comes to your marketing campaigns. If it's not working, dump it, but you need to know. Branding is a byproduct. I'm sorry, guys. I know you love your name to your facility. I know the sign is great and the logo is amazing. The average customer probably doesn't care. I'm not saying it's not important to keep your brand going, but what I'm saying is it's like going out there and asking who's your favorite plumber. The guy that shows up when I call them. Most people don't know, they don't care. They're trying to find the person that can help them specifically. Rule 6, there will be follow-up. We're going to discuss follow-up and how important it is in the statistics on how it is that you follow up. Rule 7, there will be strong copy. If some of you guys aren't wordsmiths, you don't want to do it, hire a copywriter or a marketing company to help you with that. It will not be boring. This we're going to hit in just a moment. We get hit with about, the average I think I read was around 4,000 to 10,000 pieces of marketing every day. The average American sorts their mail through the trash can. I do. So we need to get something that will get their attention right away. And rule number 9, this is the new one. Not everyone is your customer. If the guy wants to go down to the street and rent at the facility that's rat infested for $50 less than what you're charging, let them go. There will be more problems in the future than they will be to go ahead and meet their demands. So when we talk about marketing, we need things that will catch people's eye. If you put a piece there that has a picture of your property and says you and tell people you have 500 units, nobody cares. And it's probably going to go right in the trash can. I like marketing. I collect it. I have what I call a swipe file. Whenever I find something great, I swipe it and take a picture of it, put it in Evernote book or in my Dropbox, whichever it is. This is one of, and I'm sorry for those of you in the back that may not be able to see, but that's a billboard going down I-95 in South Florida. It says, your wife is hot, please repair your AC unit. But it's below because you see that part first. Now, those of you who remember Auburn losing the national championship game not too long ago, Denny's put out that tweet that said, if it's any consolation, Auburn fans, there are 47 chances to win on the way home. And they marked all the little Denny's locations all the way home. Now, it's silly, and I'm sure if you're an Auburn fan, you weren't thrilled, but again, it caught your eye. And then there's a company in New York called Manhattan Mini Storage. Some of you, if you've ever seen me speak before or write about it, I love some of their marketing stuff. We're going to show some stuff that's really pushing the envelope. But I'm a Mets fan, sadly, in some ways. But it says, why leave a city that has 6 professional sports teams and also the Mets? That was actually on the subway in Manhattan. So you got to love that. But again, when we're looking at it, though, these are things that when you read it as a Mets fan, that made me laugh. Or if you're an Auburn fan, or even if you're a college football fan in general, made you laugh. When you're going down there and you see your wife is hot, I'm like, what does the billboard say? And you read below it, you saw it. You took time to look at it. There's some other things here, like, let's see here. This was for an automotive place. We fix cars better than the Patriots fix games. Exactly. You're laughing because you would read that, and a lot of you watch football. You would enjoy that one. This one was at my vet, and I took a picture of it. It's all fun and games until someone ends up in a cone. Now, for those of you who have dogs, maybe if you don't, when they do surgery or something, they put the little cone on their head so they don't lick themselves. And then there's one for Volkswagen back when they did their little vans there. It says, picks up 5 times more women than Lamborghini. Now, when you're doing marketing, you want to be funny. You don't want to be boring, but you can push it. And depending on who your audience is depending on how far you want to push it. So, pushing it just a bit. For those of you who can't see it, this one says, yeah, exactly. This one's Text and Drive, and it was put up there by a funeral home. Okay? That's probably pushing it. The next one, are you an alcoholic? We can help for home liquor delivery. Yeah, again, pushing it. Now, here's where you need to know your audience. Your closet space, now this is what the Manhattan Mini Storage did. And again, if you're in Manhattan, you have 8 million people, you can afford to offend 4 million of them. But for the rest of us, if you're in Manhattan, Kansas, you can't do that. So this one says, your closet, this is a real advertisement, guys. Your closet space is shrinking as fast as her right to choose with a coat hanger on it. I would not suggest you do that in every market. Actually, I would not suggest you do that in any market. And then the other one here was, spouse found out about your Ashley Madison account. There's no better time to check out these new homes. Now, for those of you who do not know what Ashley Madison is, that is basically a social network for people who want to commit affairs. And a few years back, they were hacked, and some of that information got out. Obviously, some families weren't real thrilled about that, and somebody put that up as kind of a joke, but still, you have to be careful. So again, when you're doing it, push it, but know your audience. So your marketing program is required. You need a web program. You have to have that now. If you don't have a web company, go to the expo and find one. Claim all business listings, Google, Facebook, Yelp. Install and promote a referral program. You can easily get 10 to 15% of your rentals from a strong referral program if you're pushing it. Alliance programs with local businesses. And apartment complexes. We do flyers for apartment complexes, alliance programs. We do little cards with individual numbering, so when someone brings it in, we know where it came from. We go back and take care of the company that sent it to us. If it's an apartment manager or whatever, we'll give them something. Amazon card. Amazon cards are great, guys. They love those. Video, YouTube, testimonials. We'll talk about that. Email marketing, text marketing, which I do believe is important. A lot of your management softwares will do email marketing now. Marketing programs that would be nice, banners, things like that. If you guys are in a municipality that allows it, most aren't allowing it anymore, so you got to be real careful. Code enforcement will come and steal it. Pay-per-click, Google and Facebook. Google has worked very well. Facebook, social media is one of those things that it's still coming along. Direct mail, if you're doing it, make sure you're tracking it and make friends with your competitors. I love that. One time we found a property. The manager there, we just went in there and said if he'd refer anybody to us that they were, if they didn't have the unit available, they referred it to us, they would do it. Well, the guy we found out didn't like his uncle, and that's who owned the property. So he referred everybody to us. So you'll never know what you'll find. So statistics on customer referrals. 83% of consumers are comfortable making a referral after a positive experience. So get those people after they rent. Customers are 4 times more likely to buy when referred by a friend. The lifetime value of a referred customer is 16% higher than a non-referred customer because they're already sort of feeling comfortable. Our referred customer is 18% more loyal than a customer acquired through a different method. Now, we're going to talk about text messaging here, and I'm sorry for those of you in the back who can't see it, but basically what this shows is that line that's going directly up over on the left-hand side and the far right-hand side shows cell phones, smartphones, and tablet usage. And then everything else is pretty much staying flat. So that's where people are. The smartphone is the greatest marketing tool ever invented right now. It is absolutely amazing. So stats for text messaging marketing. There's services out there that you can use them. I text message quotes out to people when they call. And then there's ways, and I'm going to show you here just in a minute, how you can actually use it to market for you when you're not even there. You can put it on your website. Texting is the most widely used and frequently used app on a smartphone, with 97% of Americans using it at least once a day. More than 80% of American adults text, making it the most common cell phone activity. Text messages have 98% open rate, while email only has a 20% open rate. I know, I do a self-storage newsletter every week. 20 to 30% of you are very loyal in opening it. But with text messaging, it's different. And then 90% of all text messages are read in less than 3 minutes because you have been trained by a ding on this little phone to grab it as soon as it does that. That's why. So if anybody wants to, I'm just going to give you an example, just text storage to that number, which is 772-320-5571. If anybody wants to try it, that's one way that you can market directly to your customers. You can put that on there for a free report, text here, and the little bots, which you guys have heard about, will just ask questions, and then they will send out a free report. That information that they put in gets dropped into the email, so when my manager gets in there in the morning, it's ready to call that person. It works 24/7. So again, if you want to try it, storage to 772-320-5571. And then when it comes to tracking, and it comes to marketing specifically, you need real hard facts and data to make good, intelligent marketing decisions. Making such decisions based on what you or your employees think is happening, feel, guess, have a sense of, etc., is stupid. You want real data. And then the goals for your marketing plan. Create and launch a marketing campaign. Identify acceptable vendors, designers, printers, etc. Identify alliance partners that you can work with, movers, apartment complexes, small businesses. And then install tracking identifiers, which we're going to go over. Now, the sales process. Marketing and sales work hand in hand, but they're mutually exclusive. If you're blowing up one of them, it's going to affect the other. So for a sales system, manual, electronic, automated, doesn't matter. I don't care how you collect, but make sure you're tracking how many leads you're getting and what you're closing. Manual no card system is fine. You can use an electronic spreadsheet program, Excel or Google, automated CRM software, email addresses, email quotes, text system for text quotes, a follow-up system, a sales script and procedures. Again, no Post-it notes. And guys, you can download these slides and use them as checklists. I know I'm going through them a little quick. And now, your sales process is a production. It absolutely is. All great productions have scripts. Yes, I love people that want to think outside the box, but I don't want them always doing that. Actually, I want to have it set and put people's personalities to be able to use what I give them in a system. Each scene is laid out well ahead of time. How are you going to bring people in, or when they come in, how are you going to handle them? Have a cast who know exactly what their role is at each point of the production. Have a set that's based around the story being conveyed, which means your properties need to look good. They need to be, the curb appeal has to be up, and have some sort of emotion that is conveyed. You know, what happens when you walk in, somebody stands up and they have a great personality versus when they walk in and somebody's sitting behind the counter, don't even get up. Most people, I do, again, I don't know how many market studies a year, how many facilities I visit, probably 100. And I can tell you that a majority of people don't ever ask my name. They never ask for my phone number. They never try to get my email address. They don't even show me a unit. A lot of managers sit there and they're playing computer games. I walked in one guy and some guy was in the back watching porn. It's unbelievable what goes on at your properties when you're not there. So when you're on the phone, it's about getting comfortable. Get on a first name basis. Build trust. You're the professional. People feel, when they feel comfortable with you, they're more likely to do business with you. Get contact information for a potential customer immediately. You're going to go through. In my script, there's ways of getting a name, a phone number, an email address. Don't ask what size he or she needs. Ask what they're storing. How many times, those of you who are storage managers, your guy brings in a 26-foot U-Haul, swears to God he can put it in a 5x10. You know what I'm talking about. So how soon does the customer need the unit? You know, tell them why customers love your facility, your USP. Ask to make a reservation. You need an email or get an email address from them. If they don't want to do a reservation, sometimes I'll say, I'll send you a coupon for a special coupon. We don't have to say what the coupon is. It might be 10% off packing supplies that we all knock up 100% anyways. And we get the email address, which is valuable. If a reservation is impossible, offer to create an appointment. Most people won't do that. And explain to the customer that you'll email and text the quote to him or her. And then into the sales funnel they go. Now for my system and what I built, and I'm just showing you an example, there's a couple ways of doing it. All of my managers have a cloud-based landing page form. And what they do is they fill it out for everyone, and it dumps all that data into my marketing system and then gives me graphs, which I'll show you at the end. But we're asking all kinds of questions. I want to know, what were they asking for? How did they come in? What size did they want? What type? You know, climate, non-climate, temperature controlled. And then we'd be able to use that right there in the middle to be able to send. And then if they did rent, did they take a move-in special? Did they buy insurance? Things like that, so I can collect it. If you're doing it manually, just use a spreadsheet. Everybody can fill it out. The problem with the spreadsheet is somebody has to collate that data and figure out the statistics. And even as a regional manager, if you've got 10 stores or 12 stores and by the end of Friday, you don't want to look at this. So sometimes it takes weeks to get it done. That's why I like automation. And then in terms of texting, this is how the quote looks. This one goes out, it says, Matt, thank you for contacting, and this is one of the properties I manage. Here's your personalized storage quote, gives them a tank, what type it is, the price, what kind of special they have, and then if they have any questions, visit our website or call. Now, they can call this text number back and it will go right to our phones. So again, there will be follow-up. That's what you want. You want to be able to have this information for potential customers so you can follow up. 44% of salespeople give up after one follow-up. Research shows that 35% to 50% of sales go into the vendor that responds first. This is big. People, they're no longer waiting for you to return their voice messages. They're calling and they're going to the next one because now you got 3 new competitors in your market and they're just going down the list. If you follow up with web leads within 5 minutes, you're 9 times more likely to convert them for those of you who use, like, for example, SpareFoot, or if you're getting leads off of your website or Facebook. And then visuals are processed 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. Lesson use visual presentations. So when they're coming into the office, so if they call, let's say they walk into the office, office is clean, water and coffee is available, your bathrooms are clean. Everyone is smiling, friendly, and standing to meet the customer. Everyone is in a uniform. That's a security thing. I've had people come and tell me when I've taken over properties that didn't have uniforms, they're like, yeah, I don't know if that person out there is a customer or if they're a manager. Driveways, landscaping, and maintenance issues are addressed. Doors, hallways, and vacant units are clean. Don't let the customer come to his own conclusions. Have a script. Bring them along. Show them what you want to show them. And then the entire sales process should be choreographed. And again, if they don't rent or if they do, into the sales funnel they go. Ask for testimonials. Video is a big thing. For those of you who have smartphones, it's very easy to get to have somebody just do a video inside the office and then install it on YouTube and then put it on your website. Your web domain people will help, your web company will help you with that. Usually we give them like 10 bucks to do it. It's worth gold. And then ask for reviews. You should be claiming your Google Business, Facebook, and Yelp pages, and then looking for the people to ask for reviews for all of those, because the statistics right here, and I'm sorry for those of you in the back, I know the graph's small, but basically what this one is when judging a local business on reviews, what do you pay attention to? And then most of them here are average star rating. And then some are quality reviews, and it goes from there, and then the sentiment of them, so that you want positive reviews. And then what is the minimum star rating a business must have for you to use them? 3 to 4. For most people. So that's why these things are important. That's why when someone goes off and loses it and goes and does something on Google or Facebook, you need to follow up with them. It gets very important anymore. And then, sorry, that was the one. We're going to skip through that part. But then your goals for your sales system is how many leads were generated, how many leads were closed, who handled each lead, the contact information for leads, which item did the leads request? What amenities did the customers purchase? Which marketing campaigns drove the leads? So then we're going to process the data. Now, the important part of this, you've collected this, and like in my system, everybody dumps it in automatically, or you're doing it through a spreadsheet. This is what mine looks like. As everyone's putting it in there, I bring up these graphs, I tell it what it wants to tell me based on tags that are put on people when they're used into the system. And then I can find out, the general stuff, which is potential customers for the month, which is not necessarily on a management summary page. Move-ins are, but then I'm looking at closing percentage total. I want to know the closing percentage of what they're doing on the phone, closing percentage of the internet, closing percentage of walk-ins. Typically your walk-ins are like 90%, and then it goes down from there. What closing percentage, what percentage of people are they selling on insurance? Those kind of things. They get dumped right in there. Now, did my marketing campaign work? This is where the sales part comes in. Did your marketing campaign generates leads, your sales process closes them. So did your marketing campaign work? Your average length of customer stay, average price per unit, which we're going to need, average lifetime customer value, how long does someone stay at your average rate, the cost of the campaign, which comes off of your accounting, how many leads did the campaign generate, and how many leads did we close? And then you want to calculate that. What is my cost per lead? So what was the cost of the campaign versus the number of leads that came in? What is my cost per lead acquisition? Cost of the campaign versus how many people actually rented? What is my profit per customer? And then what is my ROI? If the campaign did not drive value, this is why you need these numbers, get rid of it. I don't care if it's a web program, I don't care if it's an advertisement in an apartment complex, letter, whatever it is. And then is my sales process successful? So your marketing is driving your leads or it's not driving your leads, and then the people in your office are either closing them or they're not. How many leads did we generate? How many leads did we close? And then I want to bring it down, and this is the important part, down to the manager level. How many leads, for example, did manager A get? How many leads did manager A close? Are you getting, this pay-per-click campaign you're spending $300 a month for, is it driving in 50 leads, but you're not closing them? Or one of your managers closing them at 80%, the other one's not closing at 10%. That's what matters. Did the number change based on the type of lead, walk-in or phone? How many new customers purchased amenities such as locks, things like that? And how many customers received discounts? And if you didn't reach your goal, why? So these are all tied together in that sense. So you're going to go from the things I mentioned before, then into marketing, into sales to see if these are actually working. And the things that aren't, if your manager's not closing, it may not be that they're bad, they might just need more training. And I'd like to end it with this. When we're talking about data and knowing, you don't need to be a billion-dollar corporation, but he who lives by the crystal ball soon learns to eat ground glass. You have the power now, you have the software. Start tracking these things, because as you get more people, more competitors in your market, this is really what's going to matter. Thank you. That's it.